start this episode. This is our new weekly breakdown / review of the Halo TV series. So we will be spoiling heavily. So if you have not started Halo, I would recommend turning this off immediately. We're doing episode 1 right now, but this will be at the beginning of every episode. So obviously, as episodes go on, just pay attention to which episode it is. And if you haven't watched that, then I would recommend turning this off, because we'll be breaking down each episode and reviewing it, and also speaking about the Halo games. So if you are wanting to play the Halo stories or the Halo campaign and care about the stories, I'd recommend not watching or listening to these either. So without further ado, we'll get into the episode here. Welcome to the Current Backloggers for another episode review discussion of the Halo TV series. I'm your host, Case P, along with my good friend and co-host, Cal. How's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I went to a Comic-Con this past weekend.
I saw. How was it?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
I got to see Anthony Daniels do a panel.
Mm-hmm.
If the audience
good
doesn't know who he is, he voices C-3PO. Well, he's actually in the armor as well, which he talked about quite a bit. But he was awesome. He was really cool.
Very nice.
He kept promoting his book, which was really funny. Sometimes it's annoying when people do that, but the way he was doing it was just hilarious. But yeah, it was a good time.
Hell yeah. Anybody else that you caught your eye or anything particular?
I went to a couple different panels. So I went to Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil, and he was really awesome as well.
Very nice.
And then the guy who voices Miles Morales was there too, so I got to go to his panel as well, and that was awesome.
Hell yeah. The real question, though, you were in Indianapolis. Did you do Portillo's?
No, because the closest one to the convention center was, like, inconvenient, so I haven't gone there yet. I want to so badly.
It's worth it.
I did mention it a few times, but we ended up not, just because how, like, close everything was together, like, time-wise.
Yeah.
Because when you go to these conventions, you get, like, 40-minute gaps between stuff, so it's always so crazy. But one day,
I say you could do like the end of one of the days, because in between you're kind of screwed, but they're usually open relatively late.
Yeah, so when we leave Comic-Con, we always go to Texas Roadhouse. That's like the tradition. That's like the third time we've gone, but that's like the last day, Texas Roadhouse. So that's why I couldn't switch that up. So, but I want to go.
Oh yeah, it's worth it's worth even more than this, but 2.5 hour trip, let alone being there and not doing it. So yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah,
it's so good.
One day.
Anything else random you want to talk about before we get into this?
The Buckeye season is over.
That's right.
They lost to Georgia last night, but they got in the NIT. I don't remember the last episode what I said about the Buckeyes, but if you're not following, the Buckeye season is over.
That's an uplifting note there.
Yeah, because we talked about betting them to win the Big Ten tournament. So I was like, I'll just bet them to win the NIT. Like, they have a shot.
Oh, you did it?
And I did it. And just 3 more games, and they were there.
Yeah.
Also, I follow Cincinnati for college as well, and they were in the NIT, and they lost last night.
I saw that, yeah.
Indiana State, who's going to play in Indiana for the final 2 rounds. They're playing at the Pacers Stadium, and they're college is so close that it's basically going to be home games.
Oh, yeah,
so
definitely.
I wouldn't be shocked if they win the NIT.
Yeah.
And then March Madness-wise, my bracket busted, like, the first day when Kentucky lost to Oakland.
Yeah.
Which was a good game. I was kind of happy to see Kentucky lose, but for some reason I didn't realize they've lost, like 6 of the last 7 first-round games.
Oh, really? I know they've been a consistent upset, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, and I was like, why do I... Because I see Kentucky every year, and I'm like, oh, it's Kentucky. Like, they're good at basketball.
Yeah.
And it's like the last 7 or 8 years, it's been the opposite. And every year I'm like, yeah, I'll pick them in the first round. So next year I'm going to not pick them in the first round, and they're going to win is what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But yeah, good tournament so far.
Very nice. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right.
Ready to talk about this season finale.
Me too. Episode 8 of the Halo show titled appropriately Halo,
Halo.
coming in just over 54 minutes.
Which I was expecting an hour here.
Yeah, I was hoping. I know it probably wasn't going to be, but I was hoping for like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Because
Bang
sometimes
to end it.
Yeah, you see that with season finales. Usually they're way longer than a typical episode, but they decided not to do that.
Yeah, I was sad when I saw double-digit numbers. Not shocked, but just sad.
Yeah. But we did get a decent amount of helmet time this episode. The first time in the whole show, I think he had the helmet at least 25 minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
So that was a good sign. But want to just get into this first scene?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the episode opens, which I was really confused when it opened like this, but they tie this later in. But it's kind of like this interview style opening where Master Chief is sitting in the dark and there's some other person who's off screen talking to him, and Chief asks him what happened down there, and the person that we can't see is like, death but not yours. And then the conversation kind of continues, and there's some type of dark thing that Master Chief has to face.
Yeah, it seemed kind of like an interrogation to me. But yeah, it's the mystery of who's on the other side. They're clearly not showing you it.
Yeah, and also just like, okay, how did Chief get here? Because at the end of the last episode, he was just looking at the Halo ring, and now he's in this dark room.
Yeah.
So I was a little like, huh, interesting. But then it cuts to the facility that we were at in the last episode where Miranda... Well, I think just the facility. I don't think they're in the cave thing. Yeah,
even before that, they show some kind of like mutation or DNA or something.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to get to it, but I said it this time. I was like, this is the flood. And as we're getting to it, it was a flood.
It was the flood. But yeah, so Miranda Keyes, is she just a doctor? Is she a commander doctor? Like, what is Miranda?
In the show, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if the show knows either.
Okay, she's just a scientist person is what we're going to go with, because I'm not sure. So she's examining a device that they got from those ruins that was under the surface of Onyx. And she looks at these like spores, and somehow these dormant spores are now alive and they're active again. And I was like, oh yeah, here we go. And then this lab tech, I'd assume, scientist person, whatever, comes in and is like really odd.
Yes.
Like very awkward. Social cues are not clicking because she keeps talking to Miranda, and Miranda's like trying to be patient and is clearly like, this lady does not get it. And then Miranda's concerned that this lady, I don't know her name. I don't know if you got her name.
No.
But she's concerned she might have touched the sample while she was away from it.
Yeah.
She asked her, like, did you touch it? And she clearly lied. Like, you could see it on her facial expression that, okay, she's lying. She definitely touched this artifact that contains these spores. And she denies it, and then I think she walks out. And I think this is when Miranda, like, zooms in, and there's, like, a shot of the cells, like, kind of growing.
Yeah.
Is what it seemed like. And then shortly after this, is this when she just attacks the person, or is this later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it is. Right before this, it turns into what appears to be a completely different show, and this crazy music starts playing that makes it feel like a sitcom or something, and did not seem to fit the show at all.
Oh, if like the random scientist in the corner.
And I was like, what is happening? And then, then it started going crazy from there.
Yeah, I think she just bites the dude's neck. And it reminded me of a zombie show.
Yeah, I think the first thing is it bite first, or does she stab him in the neck? I think that's
She might have stabbed him.
Yeah, I think that's what
She
happened. Blood
stabbed
goes everywhere.
Yeah, and then it's like
it felt very
gushing.
zombie.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Walking Dead. Well, this is random thought. I watched Train to Busan last night. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's a Korean movie.
Okay.
But it's a zombie movie, which is why when I watched this again today, the Halo show, and I was like, it's like zombies.
Yeah, to me, I'm gonna get into it more later, but felt very Last of Us, which
yeah,
that's, I know it's zombie-ish, but it's kind of like an infection type thing, which makes sense, but is also weird, which I'll get into more later.
Is the flood? Is it like that in the game though?
As far as the look, like appearance-wise, you mean?
Appearance-wise, it's not right.
No,
that's not even close to what the flood is. But I mean, like, do they infect people like that?
Yeah. It was hard to tell in the older games because the graphics weren't great yet, but you can tell in the newer games or the anniversary of the old games, and you can tell in the old games. It's just you might not have been, if you're not paying close attention, you won't be able to tell. But it's cool because you'll kill an enemy like an elite, and then you'll see something crawl over to it, and then it comes back to life. So,
got it.
Yeah, usually, I don't know if it ever happens when they're. Well, actually, it does happen when they're live, but typically it's dead bodies. I think probably gets easier to infect a dead body.
They're definitely creepy, and I was hoping we would get them in the show. I'm not sure how I feel about how they introduced them because it was very random, which I guess the flood kind of appearing is random in the games. They just kind of show up.
Yeah, the way they did it is odd. It's definitely not like the game, as a lot of the stuff hasn't been in this, in the way it happens. It might seem random in the game, but one of the coolest things about Halo 1 is, especially now, but even when Halo 1 came out, games are so advertised and previewed and everything. Everybody just knows like everything about a game before it comes out. And somehow they were able to completely hide the flood until people actually got the game.
Yeah.
So nobody knew the flood were in there until like the 4th level, I think, of the campaign. So it was kind of a surprise. And I feel like if you didn't know Halo, I feel like this was quite the surprise. So even though they did it in a weird way, I feel like it was still the same effect of like, what the hell? What is this thing now?
Yeah. So yeah, she stabs him with scissors, and then they restrain her. And then we see the cells kind of like change and grow in her, I guess.
Oh.
And then Miranda is seeing the same thing on the microscope, and she's like, "What the heck am I looking at?" Basically. Is that when the intro starts, or is it a little later? I think that's when the intro.
Yes, I think
pops
so.
In. So then the intro, the beautiful intro, is back. Anything else to add about that scene?
No, like I said, I'll talk more about the flood the more we see him later, but yeah, nothing else.
Okay, so next scene, and this episode kind of jumps a lot. There's a lot of stuff happening at once. But we jump to Perez, and I think the Spartan unit is called Javelin Unit.
Sounds right.
I think so. That's what I have down, so that's what I'm going to assume. And this unit is led by Kai, 125.
Yep.
Our other Spartan that's living. And their unit is approaching the Covenant fleet that's headed for the Halo Ring. And Perez kind of seems out of it for this. I don't know if she's like, her eyes are closed. I think she might be praying, maybe. But Kai tells her to like focus and like trust her training. And then their ship is hit and just destroyed like immediately. Like it's destroyed. And they're kind of just thrown out into space. And Perez is freaking out a lot. Because I don't like, how much combat has Perez actually seen besides what we saw this season?
Yeah, so it doesn't appear as much.
Because Kai's not freaking out, and then she's like, Perez is losing it.
Yeah.
And Kai kind of, she has like a jetpack on. They both do. and Perez gets that jetpack going, and then they get to the Covenant cruiser. And I thought this scene was cool, them kind of free-falling into space, and everything looked pretty awesome.
It felt like, I think it was well done, so this one I don't think it was their fault, but I was laughing because it felt like it reminded me of Princess Leia flying through the sky, but this one, like I said, this is what you would think would happen and wasn't corny, but just made me think of that and was funny.
One of the worst scenes in Star Wars. So now anytime anyone's in space, that's all you think about.
Yeah.
It's Princess Leia floating. But other than that, I thought like it was cool, and they didn't float dramatically, which was awesome. But not many made it to the ship. They did get to the ship, and they breached the hull, and I think we see another like giant Covenant ship like above them.
Yeah, Phantom.
It was really awesome. And Kai kind of keeps these soldiers focused on the mission, and they're gonna start like invading the ship. It cuts to Master Chief after this scene, and he's still on his ship, just kind of sitting there, with his helmet off, of course. He can hear all these people dying on his comm, and is definitely not happy about it, but he's kind of at like a indecision type of thing. Like he's like, do I just go to the Halo ring or do I help them? Because that was the thing with Perez in the last episode. She was trying to get him to like help, because if you see someone like Master Chief fighting, it's inspiring. Versus like they're just going with Kai, who is a Spartan, but not the same effect. But Parangoski, our favorite ramen-loving general, calls Chief to basically inform him that a Covenant ship is chasing one of like their own ships, and it's like broken off and headed towards Halo. And Parangoski is trying to make it like they have a common goal, even though Chief clearly knows that she's the worst at this point, and kind of trying to sway him to ignore all these people dying and just go to the ring and just secure it. And Chief is just like, you know what? I don't have to listen to you, and just cuts off his comms.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I was like, thank you for shutting this lady up. Because I don't know, did he tell her that she was like awful for just sacrificing her soldiers?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think he just cut it off. But we can all think that in her. Like she's terrible. She's basically just saying this unit is just there to die. And Chief was like, you know what? Bye. And I thought it was pretty great.
No, I'm with you.
So that's pretty much that scene. And then we get to our second favorite character in the show, Quan Ha. And she's trying to help Soren rescue his wife and son, which apparently they were taken last episode.
Yeah. Do you remember that? I can't remember how it happened though. I remember that happening though.
I remember Soren finding him, and then something happened. I don't visibly remember them taking Soren's son and his wife. I don't remember that.
I do remember. I just don't remember how it happened. So,
well, I'm assuming that human forces just abducted them is what we're going to go with. And Quan is still having these visions of this strange lady that we met on Sanctuary at the beginning and died there. Because I'm pretty sure she didn't go in a ship. So she's dead, and she's just haunting Quan Ha, and they've never met, so it doesn't make sense. But Quan wants Soren to go, like just leave, and he's like, I'm not leaving without my family, which makes sense because that's the only reason he's even here is for his son. And then she's like explaining this darkness monster thing that her family has protected people against. And Soren's like, well, we're going to that facility, so you
Yeah.
get to like
Uh-huh.
meet the darkness or whatever. I hate the way they did this. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse to make Quan Ha important, and
No, that's what I was thinking.
it could have been any, like, this doesn't even have to be a thing.
No.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Really annoying, which every episode we've done, we're just like, we hate Quan Ha. Why is she in this show? And it continues. Like, there's still no, like, actual purpose to this character. But, yeah, so that's pretty much that scene. The next scene, we go to Kessler and Ackerson in their cell. And I want to... Not a lot happens here. It's pretty much like, why are you here?
Yeah. Small talk.
Yeah, nothing crazy to the plot. Is it this one? Yeah, I think this is the flood in this scene? Or is that a little later?
That's a little later, unless I have my... unless we skip some things. To have a couple notes before that.
Okay, because I know at one point the flood do start attacking
Yeah.
them. I think it is later in the episode. But, so no flood yet, but they meet Ackerson, basically.
Yeah.
Somehow Ackerson ended up in this cell as well. So everyone's just getting imprisoned for some reason while they're fighting the Covenant. So we go back to Kai's Spartan team, Javelin Squad. Hopefully I'm right with that. If I'm wrong, someone can comment. Well, Trevor's our guy. He knows.
Yeah.
Trevor, if it's not Javelin team, let us know. I'm pretty sure it is, but just in case.
Yeah.
So they're breaching the ship, and they're not doing great. They're kind of... The only person who seems to be fighting well is Kai.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just kind of there. And they kind of round this corner, and there's a lot of Covenant here. Does the show have an issue with showing grunts and jackals?
Yeah.
Because
like
all we get is elites.
Yeah.
Like over the top, like just elites everywhere.
I should have looked. I thought I saw brutes as well, but it was so dark that I couldn't tell for sure.
I think there was one brute at the beginning
okay.
of the fight when they started fighting, and we didn't see anything the rest of there was no other brutes the rest of the fight. But it's just elites with energy swords, it seems like. No.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, where's the grunts? The grunts are like one of the best parts of Halo, and we've seen them twice in the whole series. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 times. And I was a little disappointed in that because I was expecting like this big fight, but every member of the Covenant to be there, not elites.
Yeah.
Because like elites are cool, but we don't need to see them every fight.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so they're like fighting, I'd say bravely, like they're giving it their all. But the elites are clearly like, you guys are nothing to us, and they're kind of just beating the crap out of them. And they do end up, I think they fall back because they lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even after, like they already lost a bunch of people just trying to get on the ship, and they just lost more. And the UNSC fleet arrives, so more ships to help them. But these, I don't know, like scout ships or like landing ships, something like that.
Yeah.
For support, because Kai, I think she says they're almost like out of ammo. And they need ammo. They're running low on supplies and stuff. And I think Chief is listening the whole time also while this is happening. And this ship just gets destroyed. Like their supplies are just gone. And so yeah, Chief is still torn on what to do, and he's thinking back to the conversation between him and Perez about how he always survives but loses friends, and the coin flip conversation where it always lands on heads, I think, was the whole thing. And he flips his lucky coin, and I don't know if it went to tails or not, but
I don't remember.
he flips his coin and he's like, you know what? I'm going to help. So the conversation with Perez from earlier convinced him, like, okay, they're not getting reinforcements. It's time to go Master Chief mode. And he puts that helmet on, and he's getting ready to do like a free fall drop in space.
Yeah, which this shot when he's standing on like the back of the ship, getting ready to jump out, is straight out of one of the Halo games. For some reason, I can't place it, but that shot's straight out of a Halo game. I felt like Halo 2, but it's the original trilogy, definitely. But
Is it 3?
that's what I was wondering, because those kind of blend together story-wise for me. But I know that shot was intentional, because it felt just like I was like, I've seen this before.
Yeah. I feel like maybe not. It might be 3. Doesn't he jump down at the beginning of 3?
That's beginning of 2.
Okay.
And that's why I thought it was that, but he's holding on to the bomb during that, so it couldn't be that, because he's like holding on and like almost like he's flying it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, it happens, but
Yeah.
I'm also kind of blanking. I feel like 3. I mean, 3's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Halo 3 is really good. Halo 1 through 3 are amazing.
Yeah, I like them all to different degrees. 3's my favorite Halo, though.
Yeah, I used to play 3 all the time. It was definitely my favorite. But yeah, so he's got that helmet on. Parangosky tries to come on the radio and be like, "No, get to the Halo." I'm just like, "Shut up, lady. No one cares about you anymore." The Covenant are not in the ramen this time. But he jumps out and it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And Chief is on his way. So then we get to Arbiter's ship. And McKee is there, confronted by Cortana. She's like talking to McKee. And Cortana is warning her about like the odds of survival with the ship landing on Halo, and is trying to get her to go in an escape pod before her ship is destroyed. And McKee asks if John is headed to Halo, but Cortana won't answer. And McKee doesn't like that. And is like, your loyalty is still to Master Chief. And McKee asks Cortana to predict what she will do next, and Cortana predicts McKee will destroy her. And then McKee thanks Cortana for her service and smashes the hard drive containing the AI.
Real bitch move.
Yeah, the blessed one did not bless us with this move. So yeah, is Cortana dead? I don't know. We'll find out. So next scene, we got Kai's unit again.
Yep.
And they're getting wrecked still. Like, they're pretty much down to nobody and running low on ammo. And this line, I think Perez says they're almost out of ammo or something. And then Kai's like, you ever shot a plasma rifle before? And they grab some Covenant weapons, and they're doing some damage. They're doing good.
Yeah, finally got to see a different weapon. I need to go back now that we say it again, because I'm pretty sure it was a carbine rifle and not a plasma rifle.
Yeah, when Kai says plasma rifle, she picks up the opposite of a
Yeah, because I feel like it's like a pew, 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 and that's not what
And it's the one that shoots the green.
Yeah.
Not the typical plasma rifle. So
I feel that's a big overlook for. That seems like something that when people made the games weren't involved at all, but the main producer on this game or in this show was a creator of the game, and they have people all over it. So I don't really get how that happens.
Yeah, it's too easy to get right for you to just get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw it immediately and was like, that's not a plasma rifle.
Yeah.
But they're doing pretty well, and then Perez gets shot, I think, in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
But she has 2 needlers.
Yeah, dual wielding.
And she's covering Kai as Kai is dragging her. And they get to the bridge of the ship, and Kai pulls out the device that's supposed to like destroy the ship, potentially blowing up everybody.
Yeah.
And her and Perez just kind of agree that they're just gonna die. I think Perez says like this was always a one-way mission. And Kai's about to deliver this kill shot, and then they turn around and all the Covenant are fighting one person. And it's like, who's that? And then Kai's like, it's Master Chief.
Yeah, so that's Master Chief. And I was like, yeah, I think you would have to say that because everybody's like, wait, what the fuck? This guy's in full armor and actually doing something.
Is that John? John can fight. But this is the first time, not the first time, but one of the only times in the show where we see how awesome Master Chief is.
Yeah.
And he kills a decent amount of elites in this scene because they were pretty much cornered.
Yeah.
And he saves everybody, and he kills them with energy swords. I think he uses his pistol, mostly energy swords.
Yeah.
And he has his rifle on his back too, classic. And it was good, good scene.
Yeah, this whole scene was cool. Even before that, the dual wielding, the needlers was fucking awesome, and the perspective they put on it wasn't like quite first person, but kind of like over the head. It's like third person, first person mixture.
Yeah.
I thought that shot was really cool. I can't imagine. I don't know why they didn't win the fight right there, though, because one needle has killed everybody in the show this season. So if you're fucking dual wielding those things, you're going to blow up the entire ship.
Yeah.
But conveniently, they just worked normal that time for some reason.
Yeah, they changed it.
Yeah.
They didn't just one and then boom, like the rest of the show.
And then, yeah, Master Chief coming in was badass. Even the slow motion, I feel like should have been corny, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was all well done.
Yeah, very good. So then Chief tells the survivors to patch up Perez and head for, like, extraction. And then him and Kai look out at the space battle and kind of talk about being the last of the original Spartans. Because I think they're the last two. Yeah,
besides Riz, but she retired, and then Soren, and he's kind of doesn't give a shit about that. So.
Yeah, and doesn't wear his armor ever. So.
Which kind of makes him the same as the other Spartans.
Yeah. So then Kai kind of breaks away from Perez and the extraction team and then heads to the control room of the ship on her own. So she's doing something.
Yeah.
Then we get back to Soren and Quan. Probably my least favorite storyline in this episode.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
I mean, in every episode, they're usually my least favorite, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just like this is a season finale. Can we get all Master Chief the whole time?
Yeah.
It was a little frustrating. But Soren and Quan are in the lower levels of the facility on Onyx, and the hallways are crowded with Flood. Like there's a lot of them, and it's like dark, kind of I'd say zombie-esque, like for the scene, and like you can see this scene happens in The Walking Dead so many times where it's a dark corridor and there's just these creatures walking around.
Yeah.
And I think Quan and Soren like pass by, and then a bunch of them just pop out.
Mm-hmm.
And in the jail cells, they're back, and they got like huge lumps on their face, and they look funky. Kind of like The Last of Us, like you said earlier.
Yeah, it's this one's a weird one because a lot of stuff in the show is just downright bad, but this one's a weird one because it feels very Last of Us, which the Flood is a parasite and Last of Us is a infection, so makes sense that they'd be similar. But the Flood, appearance-wise, don't look like the Last of Us, and these look more like Last of Us creatures than the Flood. Still look really good, but don't really look like the Flood. And I don't know if it's because it's too hard to translate that to live action and it'll look terrible, or they don't have the money for it, or what I'm hoping is that they are like just now morphing and then they're going to turn into like full-fledged flood. But I have a feeling that it's probably not that. I feel like what we saw was probably the final form of the flood, because I feel like they keep changing things for a wider audience, which sometimes makes sense, but like here, I don't think people will not understand if they look nothing like humans and turn into crazy ass looking creatures.
And like there's the whole thing of like the tiny flood that like pop out. They're very annoying in the game, but they would be so cool to see on screen.
Yeah, which I feel like that slug thing at the beginning, I don't even know if we talked about that. That was the first time that you really saw the flood aside from the like DNA. I feel like that was never a thing as far as I know in Halo. I feel like that might be not their version of it, because I think you do see the version of that thing you're talking about when it comes out of a girl's mouth or maybe a guy's mouth. But even that felt very Last of Us. Have you watched Last of Us?
I haven't seen the whole show.
Oh, so you've seen the first episode?
I've seen a couple, yeah.
When she's going to kiss him, I was like, this literally looks like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which, that show is amazing. So, like I said, on one hand, it's a compliment, but on the other, it just doesn't feel like the flood. And it felt very, very zombie-like, which is another huge compliment, because zombies are... we've seen so many things do zombies wrong.
Yeah.
So it's weird, because I feel like if this was its own thing, it'd be amazing. But since it's supposed to be something different, I'm kind of conflicted.
Yeah. It's I think they definitely got that creepy aspect of it. Like, this is just infecting people and then they're going crazy. But it's not the flood.
Yeah, and you're talking about those little creatures that kind of like little brains with legs on them.
Yeah.
And then there ends up being this gigantic like blob creature that holds a ton of those, and then when you kill it, those all bust out, and then those are things that can eat dead bodies or apparently live bodies and turn them into more flood. So that's what I'm saying. If it's just things that look like humans with mutations on them for the rest of the show, I feel like that'd be kind of a letdown with all the cool creatures that the flood have.
Yeah, and then they're just zombies at this point.
Yeah.
So I hope that's not the route they're going to go, and maybe it'll change, but kind of the way this show does things, I'm expecting it to stay like it is. But so during the scene, one of the flood people jump at Soren's wife and Kessler, and basically are trying to get through the bars of the cell. And I assume Ackerson pulls this gun from the guard that's standing there, but man, I don't know how he got it so quick. But he
I was thinking the same.
Grabs this pistol and then just shoots him down. And I was like, wow, Ackerson did something useful for once. And then the gun's out of bullets, and the guard is now a flood and is going after Ackerson. Quan and Soren get to the, I want to say security office or something, whatever it is in this facility, and they find, is it audio or video? I want to say it's audio.
I thought audio. I just don't want to say that wrong.
I think it's audio of just Kessler and his mother being attacked in the jail cells, and they kind of rush off to go help them. And that's pretty much what happens there. So the flood are also downstairs, so they're just everywhere, I'm assuming, in this facility.
Yeah.
So Master Chief is back making another free fall jump through space, and this time he is headed for McKee and Arbiter's ship, and he is breaking kind of through, I'm assuming Halo's gravity pull. I think that's what he's breaking through. And Parangosky is with Halsey, and she's like, talk Chief down. Halsey, I think, is aware that he's after Cortana, Parangoski, I don't know what she's thinking in her head. Probably about ramen. Typically what she thinks about. But Halsey, okay, so Parangoski wants Halsey to like tell him to stop, basically. Halsey's like, you know what? No, I'm going to tell him where Cortana is, or I think it's not where Cortana is, it's where to infiltrate the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the middle of this scene, it cuts back to the episode's opening, where Chief is in this dark room talking to somebody. And I didn't really get a lot from this talk. Did you get anything?
Trying to remember because I'm putting notes down for that part. Not that I remember.
I don't know. They have a conversation, and I think it does involve Cortana, but I'm not exactly sure fully what they talk about. But
I'm trying to remember.
I didn't have anything for it. I have after it.
Yeah, I should have put it down because I know what you're talking about, and I'm trying to remember the scene in my head, like as it goes, but I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, after it, they're back on the battlefield, and that scene where he's talking to him, it's in the future, is what I'm assuming.
That's what it seems like.
They're talking about the battle, but I don't remember what they talk about. Cortana. I know it's something about Cortana.
Yeah.
But we'll just skip it, and if you guys know, just let us know. But back on the battlefield, Chief reaches the Blessed One's ship. Is it the Blessed One's ship, or is it Arbiter's ship? They're kind of like working together.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know who's the owner, because they kind of just both appear to be using it.
Give them a ship name. Arbiter, Blessed One. Last year we had Master Chief and the Blessed One. So Cortana is alive. She's not dead. And she escaped into the ship's databanks. And Cortana tries to tell Chief it's too late for either of them, but he's like, no. Chief punches the ship's steering wheel, column, whatever you want to call it, and absorbs Cortana into his armor and braces for the crash on Halo's surface.
That's right.
So they're back. They're back together, just like they should be.
Oh, yeah.
We waited a whole other season for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole first season, they're, like, trying to get them to be together, and Chief is like, no, I hate AI. And, like, later in the season, he's like, oh, Cortana's cool. And then they take her away again, and I'm like, what? Like, just let them stay together.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So then we're back to Soren and Quan, and they get to the prison cells in time to kill the infected guard and rescue his wife and child.
Yep.
And when they're leaving, Soren's wife tells him that Ackerson saved their lives, and is like basically saying, save Ackerson. And Soren leaves because he's like, I don't care about Ackerson. But then he goes back and lets him free. And then Ackerson compliments his family. And I was like, cool.
Yeah, I don't even hate Ackerson, and I was like, that'd be pretty dope and funny just to walk away. Super dark. I was like, holy shit. And then came back. I was like, aw. And then, he said, I think he said you have a very beautiful family.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's weird, but all right.
Very out of pocket. And like, okay. Like, thanks, Ackerson. Like, does Soren know Ackerson besides that he took his son?
I don't think so.
You have a very beautiful family. Yeah, so that happened. And then we're back to Master Chief, and he wakes up on Halo's surface.
That's right.
I thought the planet looked good.
Yeah.
Everything looked really beautiful, and like all the colors were really cool. So they did the Halo planet justice.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. My note says, holy shit, we're on Halo. And then the music kicked in, and it sounded good with it. he picks up his helmet and holds it to his side, which is a shot straight out of Halo Infinite. And just really cool to actually see Halo, not in these weird vision, flash forward things, whatever the hell they were.
The love visions.
Yeah.
So Cortana then appears and explains that Halo is like a living network of organic life and AI, which is really cool. Cortana then points Chief to the temple structure, and she predicts that McKee and Arbiter will head there. Chief then grabs a laser sword, or
energy sword,
from the ground and heads over to this temple. McKee and Arbiter are then they kind of just show them walking to the structure, and Arbiter is like his redemption is soon at hand. And then Master Chief and Cortana walk towards there, and she states that Halo was built by a civilization humans couldn't comprehend, which we know that as Halo fans.
Yeah.
But that Master Chief is connected to, like they predicted him or something like that.
Yeah, that I think is. I don't think that's really part of the games. I think this is a weird thing that the Blessed One keeps alluding to, and she's made a part of it. I'm like, I don't know what this whole thing is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this whole getting to Halo and everything was not perfectly done, but done really well. Even like Cortana, like you're talking about, like pointing to the base and everything, felt very Halo-like. How she kind of like guides you because it's a game.
Yeah.
I thought that was all well done. I guess I could talk about it here. I don't know if it's the best point to talk about or not, but I feel like I hope that Halo isn't just always like this. As cool as it was, it just felt like it was barren and a planet just for like these multiple sets to be on. Like when I know it's different from the game, but when you crash on Halo, what makes it so crazy, it feels beautiful and empty, and then the Covenant just convene on you and you're like, oh shit, and you get overwhelmed. And this just felt like it was an empty planet and they were just walking around and just kind of, like I said, an excuse to show off different sets.
Yeah.
Which I get in a show, you can't have it be the same as a game. You can't just have every time walking around, people fighting. But with the lack of action and fighting in this show, I feel like that would have been a great excuse, even if you didn't want the whole time he's walking around Halo, when he crashes, to like be kind of out of it, and then Covenant are on him, and then fights his way through, and then Cortana directs him where to go to get out of it.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that, unfortunately, and I feel like that has to be a thing that happens somewhat more if the show continues. Now that you're on Halo. Like I said, I get Halo's massive and there's going to be empty parts of it, but perfect excuse to have more action.
Yep. And they were like, no,
yeah,
we will not give you action.
Uh-huh.
It would have definitely been cooler if there was just like a little squad of grunts or something walking around, just to make it feel more like the games.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, like, it's just all elites, which is so, I already said it, but it's so frustrating. And then here he just lands and there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There definitely should have been like just a little fight scene. It doesn't have to be like massive, but just a couple grunts or something just there when he crashes. And then, I mean, he can take out grunts easily, but it was just been a cool time to input grunts, which I think they missed those opportunities a lot.
Yeah.
There's one more piece of dialogue from this scene, and Cortana says, for McKee, it's religious devotion that drives her towards Halo. But what is it for, like, him? And he responds, it's where the fight is. I was like, cool, got it.
Without the fight, though, apparently?
Yeah, no fighting. So, next scene, we're back to Perez, and she wakes up on the evac ship and realizes Kai is not with her. She jumps up to call Kai, and Kai is on the bridge of the Covenant ship and is steering the ship into the large assault carrier that was destroying the UNSC fleet. Kai's last words are, "This is gonna hurt," and she dies. So Kai's dead. And her sacrifice does pay off because the UNSC fleet does gain the upper hand in the battle. And as Kai dies, Master Chief looks up from Halo's surface. I don't know if that was like trying to show him that he knows that she's dead, but maybe.
I didn't even put that together, but that would make sense. Yeah, it's a bummer to see her die. At least it appears dead. But I think kamikaze was a cool way to do it.
Yeah, she definitely sacrificed herself, and they definitely would have lost if she did not do that.
Yeah.
So Parangoski, they don't get to celebrate long because Halsey calls Miranda to kind of find out about the artifact they found. And Miranda, I didn't catch what she said. I don't know if you did.
Trying to remember the whole scene. I know how it concludes, but don't remember what she said.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like a warning to Halsey or what it was, but anyway, after this call, the command center is starting to get overrun by infected, and Parangoski gets swarmed. Halsey almost gets taken out. Well, almost here, but then she seals herself off. She like closes the door and then runs to Miranda's lab.
Yeah, and two things here got super dark because there was one person that wasn't infected, like banging on the door, and I don't blame her. I think it's like we talked about how dark she can be. I think it's just kind of like goddamn, I can't do anything about it. Watching this person just get infected, but this is dark. And then, yeah, Parangoski is no more. And I made a joke that I thought was really great, but nobody else laughed. I said, I guess you could call her a parasite. And I knew it wasn't funny, but everybody didn't laugh or just said boo. Oh, yeah, that's fair.
No more ramen for her.
Nope. She's going to look like noodles, though.
Whoa. Got him. I'm so happy she's dead.
Yeah.
A lot of death in this episode. Kai's dead. Parangoski's dead.
Yeah, that's one of the endpoints I have that I'll get to.
Okay, so next scene. So Halsey's heading towards Miranda's lab. And then the next scene, we're back to our favorite crew of fighters. Soren, his wife, Quan, Ackerson, and Kessler. And they are trying to exit this facility, and there's like just an entire like group of Flood.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to battle this horde in close quarters, and Quan gets separated and cornered by the infected, and it's like, yes, it's happening, Quan's gonna die. And of course, before she's swarmed, this old lady stops time somehow and appears to her and reveals that she has like this power to control the infected.
Mm-hmm.
And then this old lady informs Quan that the parasite is like together, like they're one mind,
mm-hmm.
and has plans for Quan as the protector. And then this is when they name drop the Flood, is what this old lady calls them. And Quan just walks out while the Flood watches, and they're unable to follow her.
Yeah, I was really hoping she would die here. I knew that she was going to be a savior, though. So this just setting up for her to be the savior, and it was even worse the way they did it. And yeah, I don't know if they're implying, I really hope not, that she's the grave mind, which is like you're talking about how they all have one like hive mind, and that's what the grave mind is in the game. If that's what it is, that's going to be fucking idiotic, and I hope that's not it. But yeah, I don't know what was going on there.
I wasn't sure if that was it, or if like her family just has some power over them that isn't like the grave mind, but I have no clue. And it was kind of like, apparently her family has dealt with the flood before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, why were they on that other planet, though? Like, they weren't anywhere near the flood. So how are they protecting people against the flood if they're not on the same planet?
Yeah.
So it just feels like something to make Quan important to the story when she's irrelevant at this point.
Well, at all points, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. All points. But, yeah, so she just gets to walk out because she's so cool. I want to be like Quan Ha.
Not worth it.
So Halsey in the next scene reaches the lab where Miranda is, and Miranda might be making an escape plan. I don't really know what she's doing, but Halsey, is this when she reveals that her neck is like and she is infected, basically, is the result of this scene, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Do they show her die?
Not completely. Well, I have a note later if you don't get to it, but
yeah. So basically, that scene we see that Halsey's infected. I think that's it from that scene.
Yeah,
for the most
that's
part.
all I have. Yep.
So then Soren and company make it out of the basement of this facility, and Quan catches up to them just as Soren is about to turn back for her, because I think his wife convinces him, because I'm pretty sure he was about to dip.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about her, I'll just leave.
Thinking what we're all thinking.
So then, yeah, exactly. So Soren's wife leads everyone out of the door, and then I think she says, like, I'll be right there, and then shuts the door.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, she's on the other side.
Yeah.
Soren's on the opposite. And she reveals that she was infected by the flood, and Soren tries to, like, reason with her, like, we can figure something out. Then she just bids him farewell, and that's it. She's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll connect that again to all these deaths later.
Yeah, it's definitely a death that I wasn't sad about. I don't think any of the deaths I've been sad about so far, except Keys. That was sad.
Say a couple for me, but I'll get to that later as well.
The next scene is the death that I'm the most sad about.
That was where I was going to connect
Like,
part of it. Yeah,
actually sad about. I felt way more emotion for this death than anyone else in the show.
Yeah.
But so McKee and the Arbiter reach the temple-looking thing, and Master Chief is there also. And there's a couple of dialogue exchanges, but then Chief and Arbiter, it's duel time. They're gonna fight, and this fight was awesome.
Yeah, it was super badass. Would have been made more badass if the energy swords weren't so overused.
So overused, yeah.
Yeah, because this fight was fucking awesome, and seeing this fight made me realize that not that I thought you had to at all times, but even more reason that the sword is necessary sometimes, because in the game it works to shoot people because you can go back and forth, you can hide, there's more coming. But that fight would have been real anticlimactic if you just pulled out a sniper and shot him in the head and it was over.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do shooting each other.
Yeah.
A sword works way better. But yeah, it loses a little of its luster when you've done it so much at times when the sword wasn't necessary like in group battles and everything. Gunplay makes way more sense.
Yeah.
And super badass fight. The grappling hook was really cool, but I'm confused. He used it the first episode of the season. I don't think he used it all last season, which is a Halo Infinite thing.
Yeah.
But then he just decided how useful it was this fight. I was like, this is weird. Did you forget you had this entire season?
Yeah. Well, he didn't have his armor the entire season.
That's true, yeah.
Can't use it.
But no, the fight was badass.
Yeah, so I mean, at first, Arbiter was he was bringing it. He was beating his ass.
Yeah.
And then Chief gets up. He basically cracks his face plate, like the glass on his helmet. I was a little worried there. I was like, please don't break the helmet, because then he can't use it if it's broken.
Yeah.
It's just cracked a little bit. And then Chief gets up, uses the grappling hook, and then gets the upper hand, and then he starts beating the crap out of Arbiter.
Yeah.
And he beats his face in.
Yeah.
Pretty brutally.
His like tentacle teeth things are usually sticking straight forward and kind of like bent off to the side and like broken.
Yeah.
And all of his armor's off. It's just like the skin creature that you see.
It was rough.
Yeah.
And, I know we're supposed to be rooting for Master Chief, but I wasn't during this fight. I'm definitely Team Arbiter.
I was rooting for Master Chief, but I know we have our biasness. I was rooting against the Blessed One. I was like, the show could be so much better if it was this. And even though I was rooting for Master Chief, yeah, it was kind of just depressing and actually sad. Not just because I think it'd be cool, but he just felt bad for the Arbiter, especially because he wasn't even talking shit or being a tough guy. He was just like, all right, yeah, I'm weak. Go ahead and kill me. And
yeah.
While he's looking like this, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, he does give a really epic death speech. I didn't write it down, but it was good. And he wanted the Blessed One to translate it for Master Chief, but I guess he knew what he said anyway.
Yeah, which I don't...
Was it Cortana, maybe? I don't understand how, but...
Maybe, because, I don't know. In the games, he doesn't speak Swahili at all, so I don't know where the hell that came from.
Just like, I know what he said, and then just stabs him. Yeah, it's Arbiter. How do you kill him after 3 episodes?
Yeah, my only hope is Arbiter isn't a name, it's a title. So I really hope there's a new Arbiter, but I don't think there's going to be. I feel like they're fucking using the Blessed One as the Arbiter.
See, I was confused. I didn't actually know that the Arbiter was a title.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a name.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely thought that was when I was younger playing him.
Yeah, and I haven't played for a bit, actually sat down and played the story. That makes more sense, but then again, it's making it like the Blessed One is the Arbiter because she has the mark and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely don't. My idea that what I hope is definitely not what I think is going to happen. That's just what I'm hoping happens, because I think if you're going to do that, it would make way more sense for him to kill her here, and then even if they don't join sides, because that would have been quick to eventually join sides.
And I was just hoping for this elite Spartan rivalry, just setting him up as on the opposite side, and they didn't. They killed him.
And why was the Blessed One crying here? I mean, I get you might say because it's sad, even if you don't care about somebody seeing him dying, but she was crying like she cared about him, but the whole point was she was going to betray him.
Yeah.
So
and she was really crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, I don't really know why you're this affected.
Yeah. I was crying like that though. On the inside. There weren't many tears, but I was like, no, Arbiter.
Yeah.
Don't die. Which we're supposed to want him to die because he killed Vanek, but I was Team Arbiter.
Yeah.
But after he dies, McKee opens the Halo facility.
Yeah.
And goes in.
Yep.
Anything else to add from that fight or any of that scene?
No, I'd kind of go back to it when a little bit here, but no, not as of now.
So we're back to Quan, and basically she just tells Soren that Kessler's asking about his mother that is dead. And Soren goes to the ship to speak with his son, and then Soren says the monster is real, referring to the flood, maybe?
Yeah, I guess we didn't touch on that. And I think we even talked about how we assume this is what it is, which doesn't make sense, but this creature thing that kept showing in the caves, I feel like was the flood. I feel like we thought it might be, and I feel like that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But still, just because it connected, at least they did that. I will give them that, because we talked about how it probably does not get explained. They at least seemed like they explained it, but still wasn't necessary, or you didn't have to do that to show the flood.
Yeah. So then we're back to Miranda, who is placing Halsey into something.
Yeah, this is where I was going to talk about. She's putting, in theory, she's not dead, because she's putting her into cryo sleep, which is the first Halo game. That's what Master Chief wakes up in.
Yeah.
It's to store things a long period of time and not age. But I don't really know. I don't think that would work with floods. I don't know if that's just like a last-ditch effort or what it is. But yeah, in theory, she's not dead, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming that Miranda was putting her there until she can potentially find like a cure or something to the flood. But yeah, so she's put into that, and then we see Kai's body floating in space, and it's still intact. And if the body's still intact, you can bring it back.
Yeah,
because it's sci-fi. But yeah, so Kai is not, like, her body's not destroyed. I don't think she's alive, but...
Yeah, so I'll kind of connect all the things I've been talking about here. I like Kai. She's cool. I'd be okay if she doesn't come back. I think it'd be weird to show the scene if she wasn't going to come back. I feel like you should have just left it. So I feel like there must be something to it, because that'd be weird to throw that in for no reason. Mm-hmm. But on one hand, I'd be cool with it, because that's why I wish the Arbiter killed the Blessed One. I feel like they're so close to, even if you're not going to follow Halo exactly and want it to be different, they're so close to it feeling like Halo, but then just taking all these side steps. Like, Parangoski's gone. I'm like, all right, that's one less. Liara, Soren's wife, I'm like, she's gone. This sounds dark because he's a kid, but I think Kessler would make sense to go, because what the hell is a kid going to do? Or he's going to, like, the Protector, is he going to be the next Spartan or some cheesy shit?
Yeah.
And then Halsey was never even alive in the first Halo games, and she put her mind into Cortana. That's why she kind of like lives through it.
Yeah. So
it'd been cool if she died, because she already was non-existent in the games anyways, and you have Cortana now. And also it seems finally like Master Chief and Cortana are the way they are in the games, and not this weird fucking like teen relationship where they kind of hate each other but like each other.
Yeah.
But then they do things like kill the Arbiter, the Blessed One stays alive, Halsey might still be alive, Kai might still be alive. So yeah, I feel like you're just so close and almost trying to do it, but I'm like scared to just commit to it feeling like Halo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I was waiting to say those things, because I didn't want to talk about everything going forward, and feel like kind of all connects to each other.
Right. Yeah, no, that all makes sense. Lots to think about in this episode.
Yeah.
So we got like 2 more scenes, and then
that's what I had.
The season's over.
Yeah.
So McKee is talking to Master Chief, and basically says that war will follow him everywhere, including to Halo's surface. And she kind of teases like an understanding of their shared purpose and Halo's true function as a means of universal cleansing. So basically you wipe everything out, and then...
Yeah, any living thing.
And then there's just peace after, because everything is dead, basically. McKee says that, like Chief, she's a demon too, before heading into the facility. And then Master Chief and Cortana are kind of... There's like these spires that are popping out of Halo's surface, and then they see the UNSC fleet start to land on the ring, and Chief uses the same like control panel that McKee used, and then follows her into the facility.
Yeah.
And I think Covenant ships were maybe landing to? Because I know they say that doesn't look good or something like that.
If they were, I missed it. What I thought I saw was one of the structures looked like it was opening up or something. So I think that's what they're commenting on.
Yeah. So then we cut back to the beginning of the episode and Master Chief's odd conversation. And he's asked why he continues to fight, which he says is a mission of honor to those he lost, and the soldiers still fighting that need to believe in that fight. And the other person talking reveals that they spoke to McKee, and she claimed Chief would not be what was required. Chief then counters that McKee can't be trusted, but then, like, that's what she said to him too.
Yeah.
And then the unseen person reveals that Chief is connected to some entity on Halo that's awakened in the darkest depths of the ring due to his presence. Possibly the Gravemind is maybe.
Yeah.
And then this other speaker is revealed, and it's Guilty Spark.
Yeah, 343 Guilty Spark.
Yeah, this wonderful fella. And he's one of the AI things that the Halo creators, which are the Forerunners, left behind. And basically he bids Master Chief to like brave the darkness and face whatever has been waiting for him down there. And Master Chief's like, okay, puts on his helmet, and he's going into the darkness. And that's the end of the season.
Yeah, just two things there. Yeah, Guilty Spark is the monitor of this installation being Halo, because spoilers, there's other Halos. We'll see what the show does, but and you don't know that originally going into Halo. But also the one thing I want to comment on here, he puts his helmet on, but then it's also half broken, and you see his eye.
Yep.
And I was like, you motherfuckers, you better not. Now that he puts on more, this is your excuse. Well, you can still see his face. So you can read emotion. I'm like, oh, God. But,
see, was it broken, or were they just showing his face on the inside of it?
Oh, no, it was cracked and half of it was missing.
Okay. Because I couldn't tell. I thought it was just they were showing, like, the person inside, like, it not actually being cracked.
I'll look again, but yeah, that's what I saw, and I was like, God damn it. And I think they keep talking about, like you said, the fight and everything that happened, so I feel like probably in theory next season is would technically be flashbacks from that scene, and you're seeing everything that happened and how his armor got to that point. So in theory, if I'm right, his armor shouldn't even be broken next season, but still, it's a show, so who knows? And then like the last episode would be it getting broken potentially.
Yeah. It's this season was interesting. And I don't actually know what the plan is ending it like this. Because like it wasn't like a cliffhanger necessarily.
I don't know the exact plan. And it wasn't necessarily, but I feel like it was and it wasn't, because I feel like cliffhanger, like, holy shit, there's Guilty Spark, and like this is actually feeling like Halo, aside from, like I said, that's why it's weird, extra weird they make these decisions that they do, because it seems like they're leading into actual Halo now.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a cliffhanger kind of like in reverse, because like I said, I feel like it seems like next season should be everything Guilty Spark is interviewing him about is what next season is, and we're watching what has already happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which would, in theory, be essentially the storyline of Halo 1, is what I'm assuming, which gets me really excited, but also tempers my expectation, because we've done that with the show before.
Yeah. I don't remember who went first last time.
I don't either. I was trying to remember. I'll let you go first unless you don't want to.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So we're going to do Ha ranking for this episode and then the season. Do you want to do Ha ranking for this episode first, or you want me to do both?
We can do this episode. You can go first. I'll do this episode, and then you can do the season. I'll do the season.
Sounds good. So this episode, I actually liked it. Last couple I've been really frustrated with, but overall I thought the action was good. It felt more like Halo, especially just him having the helmet on was awesome. I think at the end of the episode they even used the music, which was really cool. I had some things that I hated. Arbiter dying is like probably my most hated thing in this entire show. Maybe no, Kwanha is, but it's up there because I don't like the decision to do that. The flood could use work, but I like the potential, and I thought they were scary, which is like it should be terrifying. The flood are just a terrifying force to deal with. So I thought that was interesting. I think they could have done it better, but I'm hoping maybe in season 3 they change the appearance and give us more info. So I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10.
All right, I'm putting my season in here right now. You said 8.5?
Yep.
8.5
Haas.
There you go. You pulled a me. Yeah, I'm this is a tough one. I have my rating already. I'm trying to just think of how to say it, because it's a tough one because I'm trying to manage my expectations, not even going forward, but for this, because if I don't look at just this episode, it's even easy to overlook the things I don't like, because of cool moments are so fucking cool and felt actually like Halo for once.
Yeah.
So it's, on one hand, I'm like, this is the best episode ever, and I love it. But then I'm like, if I'm actually thinking fairly, there's things I didn't like, and also I think the good moments are amplified by the lack of quality in the other episodes, which I don't think makes this episode on its own better. It's kind of in context of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the flood, I'm so glad they brought it in, and like I said, it's a weird one because I think it's well done on one hand, but what it's supposed to be, I think, leaves a lot to be desired, and I'm not sure if that's going to come to fruition. We'll see about that. That whole sitcom intro to lead him in was very odd. I don't know what that was about. Then, let's see, trying to get key moments here. Like I said, being on Halo, even though that also left some stuff to be desired, but no one be redundant, was just so awesome to finally have it there, like for real, and the music kicking in and just feeling like Halo, which, like I said, that's why I feel like you have to temper expectations and judgment on this a little, because that should not be a high bar to reach. That should be kind of the floor for this show. I think a lot of the deaths made sense, but also you could have went a bit farther with that, and also avoided one of the deaths, being the Arbiter, the biggest one, and killed off the Blessed one, and made it a lot more like Halo. Like I said, the only thing I'm hoping is that that's still to come, but I don't think that's the case. That's just my hope. Something I didn't talk about with Guilty Spark is his voice is so cool, and I don't like they changed it in the show. I don't know if you noticed that.
It was different, yeah.
Which is another odd choice, because usually in shows like this, it's because the bodies won't match what they look like, but he's a robot, so you don't need to do anything with that. Like I said, the only thing that I always think of, I've mentioned on here multiple times, is that video game voice acting is so different and might not translate to a full script, because in games they have such few lines. But Cortana's voice actress, Jen Taylor, voiced it in the show and the game and seems just fine.
Yep.
Obviously, a different voice actor could be different. Maybe not everybody's the same way. But she seems completely fine. And I think Guilty Spark's original voice would have fit a lot better. And I feel like, knowing this show, they're probably worried that people would think he sounds too nerdy or goofy or something. But I just don't think that's a reason to keep changing things. To be fair, I think the voice they picked, I think it is a really cool voice. I like it on its own, but it's just, again, all these changes that I don't know why they're doing.
Yeah.
What I thought was a broken helmet makes me real worried. But I would say a 9.1 for this one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Highest of the season?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think this is highest for me as well, 8.5. I think the closest was an 8.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because looking back, I'm like, the season finale of last season was way more action packed, and we saw way more enemy variety and a lot of complaints we have. But also, this felt a lot more like Halo, which I think is more important than cool action.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think we probably rated that higher because it's cool to see all that stuff. I think it's more important to actually start feeling like Halo.
Yeah, I did like the finale of season 1 quite a bit because of the action.
Oh, me
but
too,
again, the feeling like Halo is, I think, way more important, and we're getting there.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I can go into the season ranking.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is a little difficult for me because there wasn't a lot that I loved, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There were things I liked, but even like from the start of the season, it was a lot of the things in season 1 that I was okay with because I wanted them to build things up, but they just keep getting like building up to something, and then it's just a disappointment. Like even the Fall of Reach, which I was really excited for, didn't live up to the expectations that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just expecting something more, and I think I even rated that episode like decently, like probably a 7 or 7.5. Maybe that one was the 8 of the season, but even with that, I still expected, like, he wasn't in a suit. There wasn't an enemy variety. It was all elites, all energy swords.
Mm-hmm.
And then Keyes died, which was a good moment in the show, but I was sad that he died.
Yeah.
And just overall, the Quan Ha stuff again I think it really brings the show down.
Oh yeah.
Even the Soren stuff. Like I liked Soren in season 1, but I don't see like his purpose here. Besides, he was just going to get Kessler. Like, why is he even? Why do I care about that character? There's no reason. They haven't given me one. Ackerson, I thought was a good addition. I thought he was a cool kind of antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of like he had his purpose
Yeah.
like, for what he was doing, but at times he was kind of annoying, and it was like the progression of the show. It's an 8-episode series, and it feels like at times they struggle with pacing throughout the
definitely.
show. It's really bad actually, because like you're not getting that 22 episode tell a giant story, connect all these things. It's just 8, and sometimes it feels like scenes are wasted.
Yeah.
Which is really frustrating. I'm gonna give this season a 5.5 out of 10 because there wasn't enough like this episode, which felt like Halo, to make me go higher. There's a lot of more frustrating things in this season versus season 1.
No, I hear you. That's fair. I feel a lot of similar ways, so I won't be too redundant. I feel like it's starting to feel like Halo, which is cool, but we're 2 seasons into it now. I get that they're short seasons, but also it's very risky for shows to assume they get more than 1 season, just because even successful shows or shows that have high quality, if they don't meet whatever metric the company wants, then it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I don't know if they were arrogant and just thought they were going to have like infinite time to work with, or they have a deal that we don't know about, like that's not public knowledge, that they're committed to multiple seasons. Because to spend your first 2 seasons and you're not on Halo until season 2 is just insane.
Yeah.
And I feel like kind of banking on hope again now, that season 3, if we even get it, is gonna finally. I don't. My expectations aren't too high. I'm not like this is gonna be a masterpiece now, but just like you said, what should be a low bar of this feels like Halo now, and that's what I'm hoping for. So I'll say for me, this one was a 6.5. I think it was good, and I agree there's maybe more moments like that, but at the same time I felt there's more moments that felt like Halo, not even just this episode, but throughout it compared to Halo the season 1. David Weiner, which they brought on to help with the show, I think he helped a lot to make it feel more like Halo as a whole, even though it's not even close to being there. If you look at it compared to Halo 1, I think there's a lot more of it.
Yeah.
So that gives me more hope. Hopefully he sticks around too, because I feel like that's something that hurt The Walking Dead, is that they just always kept moving people around and it's never good chemistry or the same people. They just always need the next person to direct it and write it, and feel like you need consistency.
Yeah.
So I hope we get that. I hope more than anything we get a season 3, because that would be the biggest cock tease now that we're finally on Halo, and then you don't get a 3rd season.
Yeah.
I wanted to look back. We talked about how high the Rotten Tomato scores were, but I know a lot of people argue that always happens and then it settles once it gets farther out.
Because more reviews happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it did settle a little more, but I think it's still a very good sign. Critics have it at 89. Audience has it at 70.
Holy crap.
Season 1 was at critics 70 and audience 52. So a decent jump on critics and a huge jump on audience.
That's interesting because I'm not in the same boat.
Yeah. Also, I couldn't find anything for the whole season, but Halo Season 2, in its first 4 days, had 354 minutes watched in the U.S. alone, which put it 3rd amongst any shows in that time period. So I feel there's good signs. Obviously, Halo 1, we talked about the Season 1, broke Paramount's records, and I feel like everybody could say that that's like cherry picking or finding things, but I feel like that's a good sign to be moving up in things like that.
Yeah. I would assume there's going to be a season 3. I don't know what to expect, but I'll still watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the greatest show in the world, but it's not the worst thing. Like, I enjoy parts of it.
Yeah.
Just, I have expectations for a Halo story, and it hasn't exactly met those.
Yeah, like I said, that's why it's hard to talk about it and be critical, because I'm trying to balance that I get the show's different, but also being critical just because the show's different. You still have to be quality.
Yeah.
And also because in my head, not that I have the skill to do it, but in my head, if I could, I would be making an entirely different show. So
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of like fans of Halo would be.
Yeah.
They just miss on some things that are easy. Like just there's so many things. Like we talk about it all the time. Just the suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's so frustrating that they just find ways to make him not have it.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't know all the details, but it appears the show's doing very well. So maybe our idea of Halo would be a failure because maybe some of these choices are working.
Yeah.
To have a wider audience, because I've heard a lot of people that don't care about Halo think it's amazing. But I also think even if they didn't do identical to Halo, a lot of these choices they can make to make it feel more like Halo, I don't think would detract these people from watching it. I feel like you could, even if you want to stray away from some things or change some things to get a wider audience, I feel like you could keep that audience and still have more of that in there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm really hoping for season 3, and even if we get it, I'm sure we're years away because that's all this stuff is. But until the confirmation of another season, I feel like it's always a worry because even shows that are successful and reviewed well don't always stick around.
Yeah, some get canceled, sadly.
Yeah, Jericho, one of the best shows ever, got canceled twice. And
Such a good show.
Oh, you watched it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we talked about it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
And canceled multiple times, even though the audience loved it. But like I said, just if it doesn't meet those metrics, and it doesn't matter, it reviewed well, the audience loved it. But if it doesn't meet whatever they need, it's
Or
gone.
like
So
Firefly.
yeah, I never watched that, but I know about it. And the main dude in that is one of the main dudes in Halo ODST.
Who's the main? Is it Nathan Fillion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the main guys in ODST.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if there's a season 3. But you guys can let us know your hot rankings for this episode and the season in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Hell yeah. Anything else?
Nothing really.
Me either.
All right.